Thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. In this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Mr. Josh Kroner.
Yay!
Josh, thanks for coming in. We've only been trying to make this happen for 12 years.
Yeah, I am very ashamed that I have not been here on this show, Norm.
Yeah, good.
I've known you forever.
Well,
and when you first started doing this show, you would ask me. I said, oh, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then it just never happened.
Yeah. Well, I got 58 minutes now to make you more ashamed.
Yes.
And I've been digging deep into your past, talking to all the characters. So, yeah, you have a show of your own now.
We do. Dave Leonard and John Michelle from the comic book store, Dave Leonard of WDST fame. And we're calling our show Hudson Valley Unleashed, kind of borrowing Dave's radio show name.
Radio Unleashed.
Yeah, so what we're doing is kind of, and we talked about this because one of our first guests on this show, which is not yet released, is you. So you came on our show.
Honored.
And we were talking about the difference between our show, which is a regional Hudson Valley show, and your show, which is a very local town show.
I really, it didn't start that way, but I love that it's sort of like evolved into this hyper-local focus of people who live or work in Rhinebeck and how they got here and shit like that. So yours is the Hudson Valley region?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had this idea that there are so many interesting people that we know, that we've met in our travels, and celebrities, or not even celebrities, people that are just really cool and do cool things. So we thought, oh, this will be fun. It was actually kind of like me starting to listen to podcasts a lot and listening to Smart List, which is 3 very famous people that interview very famous people, but their shtick is more of, it's just fun to listen to regardless of who's on the show. So it's
I hate it.
It's not so much an interview show as like 3 guys that know each other really well kind of talking.
I'm going to say it's 3 guys who think that they and their other 2 guys are really fucking funny, trying to interview somebody, and the interviews are like just a sideline because they're way too busy trying to be funny.
I've listened to a lot of them now, and I feel like some of them are fantastic and some of them just miss, especially when they have a guest that they know too well, because it's all these inside jokes and they're talking about different stuff that nobody can possibly relate to.
Yeah, it's a little annoying. What are the guys who do that show?
It's Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
I'm going to challenge them to a podcast duel right now if they're listening.
Yes, they're probably not, but if they are...
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to be involved in that.
Yeah, the pass-along listenership is huge.
Absolutely.
Listen, they leave it in a dentist office. Somebody else picks it up. So how's that going? How many interviews have you done so far?
I think we just did 13. So we have our idea is to kind of start with a bunch so that if we want to publish every week. So all 3 of us are very busy. So getting to actually do it every week has been a bit of a struggle.
Right.
So we're trying to do 2 in 1 week. But, we want to have some backup so we don't miss any weeks. Our first podcast is scheduled to be released on May 27th.
Oh, so you will be releasing them one at a time?
Yes.
And where can people find this?
So we have Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts so far, and I think we'll probably expand on that, but that's where we're going to start, Apple and Spotify.
So have you uploaded them to Apple, and they're just sort of holding them in a queue or something now, waiting to go?
Dave Leonard is in charge of all that operation.
That's so good.
So
Dave Leonard, for people who don't know, is a longtime DJ. He started the freeform format at KZE, then he went to DST, where he was a DJ for a number of years. Then he created his own sort of music podcast called, what's it called again?
Radio Unleashed.
Radio Unleashed, which you can search for and get online. And it's amazing, amazing stuff. And now he's doing this.
And the other fun fact about Dave Leonard is he is a Norm Magnusson lookalike.
Yeah. Brothers from another mother.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
And you guys get mistaken for each other all the time.
Oh, yeah. On my 50th birthday, my wife at the time kissed him and said, "Happy birthday, darling." Yeah.
That is the ultimate lookalike that your wife can't tell the difference.
Yes, well, we were all having a lot of fun that night. And your other host is Jean-David Michel from Mega Brain Comics, once in Rhinebeck and now in Red Hook, who's just an amazing community guy, knows everybody.
Yeah, he really is, and his voice is incredible, too.
Yeah. He's got a big
the
booming
golden
voice.
throat. Yeah.
And I was on a board with him for a while. He's got a gajillion ideas. He's the man of never-ending like good ideas.
What board were you on with him?
It was called Culture Connect. It's a
Oh
fabulous
yeah,
organization.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that still alive?
they're still here, going into like year 28 or something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And John was a fabulous board member.
I was on a board with him too.
Uh-huh.
A board I dragged him onto, and then he dropped out.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got a son, and then he's got twin sons.
Yeah.
And
No, I know it. And John and I were very good friends, and we hung out a lot. And when he had twins at, I don't think, 42 or something like that,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that poor bastard.
Yeah, dude.
Which I'm sure it's a joy, John, if you're listening, to have these beautiful boys in your life. But yeah, it's a lot of work, twins. I mean, yeah.
It's a joy, yeah. And you've got a kid or two, don't you?
I do have two, and one is same age as Moss, your youngest, right?
Yeah, Moss, my youngest, he's 21, and I understand Juliet is 22.
That's right. And you were the class father in many of
Every
Juliet's classes.
fucking chance I got. And looking back, and I tell people this, new parents, I'm like, do that all the time. You'll never regret it. And I'm happy to look back and not think, oh, I should have been more there, because every chance I had, I was there.
Yeah.
And I loved Juliet. I think I was telling you before we went on, Juliet, as class parent, you get to know all the kids, which is great. And early on, I'm like, oh, that girl is so smart and so with
she's
it.
definitely an interesting kid. She marches to her own beat, which I love.
And how would you define that beat?
Well, at this point, it is unemployed and homeless in Paris, but,
Which is a typical beat for 22-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the Paris part.
She wants to move to Japan now after spending a little time there. So she's working on a Japanese visa, and she's got a job already lined up. So she's got to figure that whole thing out.
What's the job? Is it a teaching English sort of gig?
It's working into hospitality. So she's going to be doing like tours of English speakers.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so when would she move to Japan? Where in Japan?
I mean, it's probably Tokyo or Kyoto. I'm not sure exactly, but she said that the tricky thing is they have a visa which is easy to get from France because she's a dual citizen. It's hard from the U.S., but
because her mom's French?
yes.
Sweet.
Actually, she's a tri-citizen
Oh.
because I'm Italian.
Oh, you are?
So she actually has 3 passports.
Kroner. Did they drop the vowel off the end of your name at Ellis Island or something?
Kroner-y, no, that is not true. Actually, they did drop something off Kroner.
Do you know what it was?
It was Lons in the front of Kroner, so it was Lons Kroner, and I guess it was too long.
Well, plus it sounds kind of dirty,
Yeah, Lons Kroner, which means the crown.
Oh.
Actually, Kroner itself is a very common Swedish name, even though I don't have a drop of Swedish blood in me.
Isn't it a currency somewhere?
It is this currency in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway.
Thank you.
A crown. So my mother's maiden name is Giacconi.
Oh.
Which sounds a little bit more Italian.
It does.
And that's where the Italian comes from.
And were both folks Italian?
My father was not, but my mother was.
Okay.
And I got the citizenship through my grandfather, who was born in Italy.
Nice.
And we have family that we see all the time in Italy.
That's great. And where are they in Italy?
In northern Italy, in Liguria.
Oh.
Spitorno, which is a town
up on the top?
on the Italian Riviera. Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
Probably about an hour and a half from France, about 30 minutes to the west of Genoa.
Amazing. So do you have, you mentioned the family, do you have an Uncle Vinny?
Uncle Vinny, hey, bada boo, bada bing.
Do you?
I sure as hell do.
Do you? No, because on your menu, there's an Uncle Vinny's, kind of pasta.
Well, that's actually interesting.
Uncle Vinny's special rigatoni, a family recipe.
So Uncle Vinny's is actually not, Vinny wasn't a chef. He owned a big restaurant in Westchester, who I worked at that restaurant, and I learned that recipe from his chef. But his chef learned that recipe from my grandfather. It was my grandfather's recipe. He had a restaurant also. He was a chef.
And where was your this is your mother's dad?
Yes.
Where was his restaurant?
His restaurant was in Brewster.
Oh.
So it's actually interesting. I came from New York City and started a restaurant upstate, and he came from New York City and started a restaurant upstate. He did it in the 40s.
Right.
And I did it in the 90s.
Right. And so so apart from Uncle Vinny's rigatoni, Do you have other sort of family heritage recipes in your menu?
Not so much. Well, actually, there's another recipe I love to do, which it is called chicken genovese, which was another recipe my grandfather did, which is actually like a chicken francese, which is chicken breast kind of cooked in like egg white or egg wash. I mean, not egg white, but it's egg wash. And then on top of it is a layer of liver pate. And then on top of that is melted fontina cheese.
I just started drooling.
And then that's kind of served in like a piccata type of sauce. And
what is a piccata type of sauce?
which has got lemon and capers.
Oh, boy. Amazing. So when you go to your restaurant, I had lunch there today. It was spectacular.
You did? I saw you there.
When you go there, do you order stuff off of the menu? What's your favorite dish?
I always order stuff off the menu. In fact, it's very important. I eat at the restaurant a lot, and this is important quality control. Make sure that my cooks are making everything the way that I want to when I'm not there. But what I just put a couple new things on the menu from my Japanese trip, as I mentioned before. I was in Japan.
Sweet.
So I became obsessed with chicken karage, which is fried. Karage, I think, means fried in Japanese. So chicken karage, I think there's a word for chicken that they use before karage. But that's common in the U.S. to say karage, and it's basically just fried chicken, but marinated with a ginger marinade, and then with a
yum. And you say you think it means fried. Did you?
No, I know it does.
Double check?
Karage means fried.
Oh, good. I'm thinking of all those like sort of tattoos, the Japanese character tattoos that people get.
That means you're a dirty whore. It does not mean love.
I think
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. That doesn't say what you think it is.
Yeah, no, right.
Which is a great story. That
sure.
So you double checked. You made sure that karage meant what?
Oh yeah, no, because I definitely order that quite a lot at other restaurants. So I've looked into the what's it called, the meaning or the translation for sure.
Right. Yeah.
But there's another pot sticker, which is actually gyoza. It used to be this tofu pot sticker that I did, which was very popular on the menu, and I kind of modified the whole thing to make it much more Japanese.
Nice.
And it has it's a spring dish with ramps and fresh peas.
So what was in it before you modified it, and what modifications did you make to make it more Japanese?
Okay, so it was called a ginger tofu pot sticker before.
Seems super exotic to me already.
Which, and I had this dipping sauce that was kind of like a sweet and sour sauce. It was very Chinese. And it was carrots, more or less, and tofu and ginger and a few other things. And I changed it to be much more seasonal. I added ramps and English peas, and I made the dipping sauce more traditional Japanese dipping sauce, which is soy-based. And I love it. I eat that all the time. That's
cool.
just one of my favorite. I had it for lunch today.
Oh, nice. How many chefs do you have? I mean, you're the executive chef.
So
is that what it's called?
This is a word thing that I have a problem with.
I love word things.
So chef is
me.
a very misused word in the English language.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like it's so abused. People just throw around the word chef. Like, how many chefs do you have? Well, I have 2 that I call chefs. Now, a chef is a very specific term. It comes from the French word chef, which means chief. It means manager. It's a kitchen manager. That's specifically what it is. In France, you don't say chef for a kitchen manager. You say chef de cuisine. If you wanted to say, a road crew could have a chef also.
Right, but people in the kitchen, in the heat of action, they're not
They're
saying,
cooks.
"Hey, chef de cuisine."
No, there's cooks.
They're saying, "Hey, chef."
Well, you watch The Bear, apparently.
No, I didn't watch that. I watched half an episode.
I'm the only one that anybody calls chef in my kitchen, but most people are cooks. If they're cooks, if they work in the kitchen, they don't manage anybody. I have 2 sous chefs. Sous chefs are under chefs, so they work kind of as managers inside the kitchen when I'm not there.
So the sous chefs are above sort of the cooks?
Yeah, they're managing the cooks.
Okay.
And I have 14 cooks.
And you're the chef de cuisine, or you have somebody else who's that in your absence?
No, I don't. See, chef de cuisine in America is usually used for somebody that's not the owner chef or not the head chef, but someone that basically manages the kitchen.
That's funny. The owner, chef owner, Josh Kroner.
I would be a chef owner or executive chef.
Right.
Would be my title.
And do you have business cards?
I have them somewhere.
What do they say under your name?
I think it's chef owner.
Chef owner. And before I even met you, I heard advertisements for Terrapin.
With Dave Leonard.
Yeah, on WDST.
Chef owner Josh Kroner.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that rhymes. Chef owner Josh Kroner. And I just knew this
I've known
guy.
you for 20 years, and you've only ever called me chef owner.
Yeah. Hey, chef owner, over here. Fill her up. Yeah, and it's I don't know, it stuck with me. I liked it.
Yeah.
So
it's got a ring to it.
It does. Thank you. Thank you for validating my whatever. So you before you moved here, you were over in Hurley or West Hurley?
West Hurley, yeah. So I came up from the city.
In the backwaters.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a funny story, actually. I was in the city, and I'd kind of burned out of cooking. I'd worked for Bobby Flay for a while. After that, I was a chef at a restaurant in Montauk, and that was like just hell. So then I decided to not quit cooking, and I started teaching. So I was teaching at the French Culinary Institute, and I started
in New York City.
Yeah, which changed names and then went out of business.
Mm-hmm. But you went to the International Culinary Center?
No, I went to the French Culinary Institute.
Oh, okay.
So I went back there and got a job teaching.
You got to fix your LinkedIn page.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at that in years.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? The International Culinary Center is what it changed to before it went out of business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then
LinkedIn probably changed it for you.
So, yeah, they probably did. Or my lovely assistant, Kristen. She could have done that as well.
Hands off, Crystal. Good work.
Kristen, good work.
Kristen.
So, I was about 35-hour-a-week job teaching. And to me at that time, that was like incredibly part-time.
How old were you?
I was in my late 20s. And I thought, well, I should probably get another job or do something else. So I started stock trading in my spare time.
Wow.
Like doing day trading on Wall Street. I got a job doing that, and I was killing it. I was in this room full of traders.
This is the 80s or 90s? Or
97, 96, 97. And, yeah, I was just making so much money doing this. And it was in a room full of traders, and people would yell, like you'd buy a stock for, like, a minute. Say, like, buy Dell. Everybody would start buying Dell. It would go up, like, a point or two, and you'd sell it and make $1,000. And then I thought, I could do this anywhere. So I said, I want to get the hell out of the city. You know, I'd been in the city for a while, and we used to camp in Woodstock, so we just moved to Woodstock, and I thought I could make a killing doing this day trading stuff.
You and your...
My first wife,
okay,
Tam. And it did not work out that way. As soon as I got up and I wasn't in a room full of people, I just started losing money. It was just gambling, basically.
Right.
It was not good.
I wonder why, if you're making money sort of like within all the excitement, you wouldn't be doing that.
Well, because
in the quiet.
people are all like buying together, and it was a big group of people buying, which actually pushed the market even.
Oh.
And, you know, there was a lot of reasons why that worked well in a room full of traders, but doesn't work well when you're alone. And,
right.
You know, people are telling you what to do, basically. But anyway, so then I'm upstate, and I said, well, I got to figure something out. And I said, I might as well start a restaurant. So I found this place that was this restaurant that was basically like almost out of business. The guy who ran it had died, and his wife was trying to run it, and she had no business. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it was selling for a price that put my mortgage for an entire restaurant, a place to live, and all the restaurant equipment at less than what I was paying for rent in the city.
Right.
Which was like $1,100 at the time.
Right.
I was like, I can't lose. If if the restaurant fails, I've got a great kitchen.
Yeah, nobody loses money on restaurants.
No, but I thought even if I went out of business, like at $1,100 a month, you know, it's just
still a good place to live.
Yeah, I could turn it into a cool house. But it worked out, and
what was the first thing you thought, like, I'm going to put this on the menu?
Well, I mean, I'd already been a chef, and I'd already had a menu, so I kind of worked off my menus that I had from before.
Okay. At other people's restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. And interestingly, that menu, which is now 27 years ago, I have several things on that menu that are still on my menu.
All right, let's hear them.
The barbecue duck quesadilla with mango avocado salsa.
One of the most popular dishes.
The aforementioned Uncle Vinny's pasta, which has always been on the menu.
Wow.
There's another dish, which is the horseradish crusted sushi grade tuna with miso aioli over a bed of
popular
oyster
dish.
Mushrooms and bok choy.
Uh-huh.
All of those have been on the menu since the beginning.
Wow.
So
Amazing. Well, what was on the menu? What was the name of the street that restaurant was on?
Spillway Road. And it was fun. It was like I was in my early 30s, and just it was a party every night.
Road. I seem to remember there was like a craft people shop.
Yeah, right next door.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Which is another like ramshackle backwoods.
I know. You go down this road and you don't
Place.
even expect to see a single business. It's not that kind of road.
No.
And then all of a sudden there's a restaurant in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not do anything with it after I left. I just pulled out. I said, you know what, it's time to move. I found the Rhinebeck location in 2003. I bought it. I rented it out to some people, and that didn't work. And then I just couldn't sell it. And the property value kept going down, 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 down. And I finally sold it for almost nothing. And
The Spillway Road place.
yeah, and the person that bought it did nothing with it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
So is the roof caving in? And
probably.
oh, what a bummer.
Probably not doing well. But I'm glad I'm not.
And do you own the church here?
I do.
The previously a Baptist church?
It was the First Baptist Church, which moved down on, it's called Montgomery Street. It's the road across from the hospital.
Right.
And
A newish building of like no architectural interest whatsoever.
yeah, and the interesting thing about it, I always like to look at this, is you can see the 3 big stained glass windows in the front where you used to be in my building. So they pulled those out.
Gotcha.
That was the one thing they took from the building.
Yeah.
Which probably wouldn't have worked for my decor, but
Well, so what a spectacular thing to own the building where your restaurant is.
yeah, I mean, I own that hole in the wall when I started, and that was kind of what I felt like I had to do. Unfortunately for me at that time, which was 2003, it was like the Wild West of lending. Anybody could get a loan for any amount.
Oh, right. Right. I got loans all the time.
Yeah. It was
They're like, what's your income? I'm like, $8 million a
yeah,
year.
right.
They're like,
oh,
okay.
I make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't want to show you, though. Charge me an extra half a point.
And they called them liar loans,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
They didn't care.
No.
No, I never would have been able to get that loan if it was today. Not even close.
But you did, and now you own the building, and this was like 20 years ago?
22 years ago.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So in another 7.5 years, you'll have paid off your mortgage?
Wow, that's fucking good math, dude.
Well, you've been here 22 years. So the 30-year mortgage is pretty standard.
It's funny how you say that, because it turns out that that's actually completely correct.
Okay.
However, there was 2 refinances, and the last one was a 12-year loan or something like that.
Oh, so it's just dumb luck.
And it just happened to be,
not good math.
It was, 2031, I guess.
Now, somebody I asked about you leading up to this interview said, ask him about his analytic engineering brain.
So,
This is-
before I was a chef, I was a architectural engineer. And
You went to school for that?
I did. Yeah,
that
I went to
Penn-
University of Colorado, and I got a degree in architectural engineering.
Boulder?
In Boulder, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And, it's not that I ever loved engineering. I did construction, and I loved construction. I was a carpenter, and that's what made me want to, because I wanted to get a college degree. Like, I felt like that was somehow necessary. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do? I guess construction engineering, which kind of fell into architectural engineering, and that was what I ended up doing. But I never really enjoyed, once I actually did it, although I did have a pretty cool job. At one point, I worked for a construction company that was renovating the command center at NORAD.
Oh, wow.
So I had to get security clearance, and I would go into the mountain, like underground. So NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base, is in Colorado Springs, and it is under a mountain. There's a famous
Right.
movie, War Games, that takes place in there.
Oh, yeah, I was going to guess a Bond flick.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's underneath, and it's basically like from NORAD, they can, basically look at everything that's
Monitoring
flying.
all our airspace
Yeah,
in the whole
exactly.
fucking world.
So it was kind of cool. I got to do that, but still it was kind of weird, that type of like working in that atmosphere, and also working for big construction companies. You get moved around your whole career.
Right.
So
And so this was graduate for architecture or undergraduate?
undergraduate.
And did you do graduate school too?
No.
What? Because I see you again. Your LinkedIn, Penn State and UC Boulder.
Ah, yes. I started at Penn State.
Okay.
I went there for 2 years, then dropped out of school to become a ski bum.
And then you went to Colorado.
And then I was already in Colorado, and I established residency, so it was like free to go to school there. So Yeah.
Oh, nice and smart. And where were you skiing? What was your favorite mountain in
Well,
Colorado?
I was a ski patrol, and I worked at an area that's no longer open on Berthoud Pass. I mean, I used to like to ski. Mary Jane at the time was my favorite area that I would go to, but I probably skied Eldora the most because it was close to Boulder, and I skied there for free all the time. So,
Right. And as ski patrol, were you focused on one mountain, or could you ski patrol wherever?
well, I mean, back then it wasn't like it is now, where everything I'm sure is much more computerized. You just had your patrol jacket, and you would go in with a patrol jacket, and they'd be like, "All right, here's a two-way radio. Sign in here, and you know,
At any mountain.
at any
They're
mountain."
like, we're happy to have you.
They wouldn't pay you. Like the mountain you worked at, you would get paid next to nothing. But
Right.
you could ski anywhere, and I think now it's much much tighter than
That
that.
sounds like a great deal.
Yeah.
So you're like 20 and your knees are amazing. And
They were,
yeah,
but bump skiing is not good for the knees.
no, no, tennis not so good for the knees either. And you liked the moguls. You liked hitting the bumps.
I unfortunately did quite a bit of bump skiing.
Yeah.
I say unfortunately because my knees are shot because of that.
Do you still ski?
I do sometimes. My nephew is now going to Boulder, and I go out there, but I have this problem with skiing where I don't know how to ski slow,
He
and I
has.
just ski like really hard, and then I'm totally tired after 5 runs where I need to go home and soak myself.
Right, right. Which is also a treat. And do you ski with Leonard? I used to ski with
I have
Dave.
skied with Leonard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some good skiing
He's
together.
not super aggressive.
He he's a good skier.
Yeah.
I mean, he can ski with me. I'm usually down the hill first, but
Yeah,
then, like I
exactly.
said, I'm completely out of wind by the time I get down there. So,
Right.
and he can ski. He'll be like, the tortoise and the hare. Me and Leonard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's nice to be the tortoise. Speaking of which, where the hell did the name for your restaurant come from?
It's funny. I figured everybody just assumed it was a Grateful Dead song at this point, but
Or the turtle?
I guess that's it. Because I've a bunch of people I've spoken to recently. In fact, I was on a radio show at WAMC a couple weeks ago.
Please don't bring up other radio
Other-
shows.
other
in front
radio
of-
show that-
It makes me feel so inadequate.
Well, Ray Graff, the host of this show,
Ray Graff, Ray Graff, Ray Graff this, Ray Graff that.
asked me the same question, and I told him with the Grateful Dead. He's like, I never thought that. And he's a deadhead. He said he was a deadhead. Never even occurred to him that maybe I was also a deadhead at one point.
Is that where it came from?
Yes.
There was an album, right? Terrapin Station?
Terrapin Station.
And a song?
Yes, it was a song and a station.
And an album. And so, hey, Deadhead. I love the whole Deadhead culture. And it's a family show, so you can't tell us about all the things you did. But did you follow them much? How many concerts have you seen?
I saw 66 shows.
Jesus.
But those 66 shows wasn't me following the Dead so much as like they would play 9 times at Madison Square Garden, and
you-
I would see all of them.
Uh-huh.
Just one after the other.
Yeah. It's funny. And so do you have like all of their albums? You have like the
No.
Dick's Picks
I
and stuff?
rarely listen to the Dead at all anymore.
Oh, geez.
After Jerry died, and I was also working so much at that time, I just kind of was like,
Right.
I moved on to Nirvana and other things, in the 90s and
Uh-huh.
didn't look back.
Huh. Yeah, I like the Dead. It was a bummer when Jerry passed away.
I was.
I saw them once at the Hartford Civic Center with a friend. This is like 1986, maybe, with a friend who was a big Deadhead. And they played Box of Rain, which was a song I knew. I'm like, oh, it's Box of Rain. He said, they haven't played it in 12 years.
Really?
Because I guess that's the kind of knowledge Deadheads have.
Yeah,
When
Box of Rain was an interesting song because that was Phil Lesh singing. And he was famously not someone that could sing on key. So it was a very, it's just a box of rain.
Which I love. I love so much. I mean, from the get-go, slip into a doorway. Phil Lesh, and apart from Jerry, are they all still with us?
Phil Lesh just passed away last year.
Oh,
Yeah, very sadly. The only ones left are Bob Weir and Mickey Hart, maybe Bill Crutchman also, the drummer. I think
Right.
so. Both drummers are still alive.
and somebody said the other day they were going to Las Vegas to the Sphere
Yes.
to see the Grateful Dead. And I
So
wondered, like, well,
that's Bob Weir and Mickey Hart, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So those are the only two. But also I think that, and I know this even though I really didn't go there, but I still am friends with lots of Deadheads that are people my age that never gave it up, that told me it is now John Mayer who is fills in for Jerry.
Okay. I wonder how that
Apparently
how that
he's
is.
very good.
That's good.
That's the word on the street.
All right, so here's the measure of how much of a Deadhead you are. What's your favorite Dick's pick?
See, I'm not then. If
Right.
that's the measure, then
I
I
know nothing about them, but
it's funny because right after I was on Ray Graff's show, he sent me like, "Oh, you got to check out this Dick's pick,"
right.
and I'm
So-
like, "I'm not going to do."
And these were authorized recordings of their live shows because, contrary to the wishes of the record company, as I understand it, they said, "Yeah, come on, bring your recording stuff. We want people to record our shows."
They were very liberal with allowing recording equipment at the shows,
Right.
which is kind of funny. In 1998, I recorded my first Terrapin ad with Dave Leonard.
Chef owner Josh Kroner.
Yes, and my background music was Terrapin Station.
Oh, nice.
There was a great line: "Some rise, some fall, some climb to get to Terrapin," which seems so apropos.
Yeah.
And I thought, the Dead, they're not going to give a shit if I use their song. Au contraire. I got a letter from a lawyer that said, "You better stop or we're going to sue the shit out of you."
Really?
I was like, "Maybe it might be fun being sued by the Dead, but no."
Because one of their lawyers probably lived in Woodstock.
Yeah, and listen to WDSA.
And it was like, what the fuck? No, they didn't pay. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So when did you live? Oh, I guess you lived in West Hurley.
I
right
originally
next to the
lived in
restaurant.
Woodstock
Okay.
up on Ohio Mountain.
Oh, that's
on
nice up
Spencer
there.
Road, yeah.
Spencer Road, which, Tibet has some amazing views.
Oh, yeah. The place we lived in, which was like $900 a month in 97 when I came up, was just spectacular views of the reservoir.
Right.
But I'm sure now it's like a $3 million property.
10 grand a month to
Yeah.
rent. Do you miss anything about that side of the river?
Oh, yeah. I mean, many things. I mean, one thing is that, and this is kind of the roughest thing about this side of the river. This is a Rhinebeck podcast, so I'll tell all the Rhinebeck people.
We can
this
still
is
talk
what
about other places.
I hate about this side of the river.
Yeah.
Is there's ticks everywhere. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't even walk in the woods anymore. I live on a farm. I have 40 acres of woods. And I don't even want to bother going back there because I have to spend a half hour pulling ticks off me
Right.
whenever I go back there. I mean, you could go like if it's the winter, obviously, and it's cold, or if it's summer and it's dry, there's no ticks. But like this
Right.
time of year, I wouldn't walk in my woods.
Do
It's
you
not
use-
like that in Ulster County.
Do you use tick spray or any of that stuff
Yeah,
when you go in?
I do, but the problem is they get all over the dogs and my goat, which I walk my goat.
Your goat?
Oh, yeah.
What's your goat's name?
My goat is Sage. And Sage...
That's good.
Sage
That's like
is-
a good Woodstock kind of name
That
for
was
a goat.
actually my youngest daughter named her Sage, but the goat is incredible. This is an amazing goat. It's 8 years old now, and she's the most like attached to me of any of my animals. Like, just loves me.
And you've got 40 acres, so I guess the goat lives right there on your property.
Yeah. So I've got a big cleared field, and it's like maybe a half-mile circle, and we do that every morning. I bring the goat with me. In the winter, she's not that happy about the walk, but she never leaves my heel, like right on my heel,
That's so
the entire
sweet.
walk. But this time of year, she loves it because there's so much to eat.
Does she sit or roll over or anything like that?
She's a clever little goat. She's funny. She plays with the dog sometimes.
And I'm guessing, I don't know, but there's probably different breeds of goats, right?
Yeah, I mean, this goat is half Nubian, half Toggenburg, I think. Something like that. I got it from an old goat farm that went out of business, Sprout Creek.
Goat farms.
Yeah, it was,
Hard to
well,
keep
it
'em
was
going.
like goat cheese is what they did. And
And so do you milk her?
I did not, because you got to get them pregnant. It's a lot of work. I mean, when I originally
A lot of
moved in-
work. You
yeah,
gotta,
I mean,
you got to buy them flowers and wine, take them out to dinner.
I know, exactly right. You can't just grab those teats. I mean, that would be rude.
Yeah.
But we...
I think I flapped our producer with that last off-color comment.
It's a family show. Let's
Yeah.
dial it back a notch. No, the goat's hysterical, and like I'll talk to the goat constantly. Like I stick my head out. The goat might be 70 yards from my house, and I open up my door and I go, "Meow." And then the goat will be like, "Meow, meow, meow," screaming back at me, and we kind of go back and forth. My wife thinks it's hysterical.
That's good. And does the goat like all the other family members?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
good.
but she definitely likes my wife a lot. Is indifferent to one of my dogs, but one dog she plays with, which is it's just hysterical. I'll show you afterwards a picture of
I'd like to
this.
see this. So you got a goat, a couple of dogs. What other animals do you have on the farm?
One chicken.
One who lays
A-
plenty of eggs.
Yes.
Right.
So this chicken's funny because
What's the chicken's name?
it's Stella.
Stella.
And so when my wife and I started dating, and she came up this 3 years ago, this was the only chicken that hadn't gotten eaten. I had a whole bunch of chickens, and there was a fox getting in, and somehow this chicken was living. I figured it didn't have long to live. She says, "Okay, I'm going to name this chicken." I'm like, "No, you don't name chickens. Chickens don't last long," which was my experience with chickens. But this chicken is a survivor, and it's a very smart chicken. It's actually also an affectionate animal that like wants to be held and pet. Because without any other chicken buddies, it decided it needed a little love from me.
Everybody needs chicken
So
buddies.
it like comes up to me and like, it does this thing where it kind of squats and sticks out its wings, and I pick it up. It's hysterical.
And how do Stella and Sage get along?
Oh, they love each other. So this is the thing which is funny is that I had another goat that unfortunately passed away last summer.
Oh,
and
sorry to hear that.
my wife was so worried that Sage would be really lonely without her buddy goat.
Right.
But it turns out that Sage and Stella keep each other company. They're always together.
I love
They
that.
walk around the pen together, and
Oh, that's
they,
so sweet.
They hang out. It's very funny.
And did you ever imagine that you'd be like sort of a gentleman
Oh,
rancher?
I wanted this so badly.
You
As a
did?
chef, to like have a farm and have goats. It was always something I wanted. And 8 years ago when I first got the farm, I did a lot more actual farming, and I brought a lot of stuff.
Does the farm have a name?
No, I could make one up right now.
That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
The
sorry, time's up.
Contreras farm.
Oh, the Contreras farm, which is your wife's maiden name or
Her
current-
actual name.
Her
which
current
she didn't
surname.
change her name. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
a nod to you, Betty.
Is Betty listening?
She
better
will at
be
some
listening.
point. Yeah, I'll make her listen.
Oh, the Contreras farm. Well,
Yes.
that's so sweet. And how did you meet Betty Contreras?
We met at Terrapin.
Oh, the restaurant right here in Rhinebeck,
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, so my restaurant, she was at the bar, and I was single, and I saw her there, and I went up and said hello.
Wait, now when you're there and you're not chefing, you're not like working the kitchen, do you have an office where you're like doing the accounting?
I do.
And are there cameras on the dining room?
I'm like, okay, there's somebody I need to meet now. I don't.
like in Ocean's 11,
Right.
I
I should like the eye in the sky, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I do not have an eye in the sky.
Yeah. Okay, but so you're walking around.
So she's
checking out
she's from Brooklyn actually, and
Uh-huh.
she was just up in the country.
up in the country. So she and some friends were visiting
Yeah.
Rhinebeck.
And the first time she'd ever been to Rhinebeck. So
Was she staying at Mirbeau?
yeah, I don't even know where she was staying. I don't remember. No, she wasn't staying. That's the thing. She went back down.
Okay.
And I just got her number and then called her up, and then we connected afterwards.
That's good. So you met her. She's in the restaurant.
Yeah,
You saw her. You're like, I got to meet this woman. It was love at first sight.
it really was.
That's great. And so,
I knew I was going to marry her within, a few days of like really getting to know each other.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then and she's in Brooklyn and you're here.
She's a pediatric physical therapist.
Oh, wow. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, so she goes to people's houses in Brooklyn. She works during the week. She's up now. She comes up on Thursdays with me. I go down to the city on Wednesdays, so I spend at least one night, if not 2 nights, in the city.
And so what kinds of conditions does she deal with? I'm thinking of sort of like birth defects, congenital
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
it could be just not walking soon enough, or it could be, more intense things. Like I know she has one patient that she's been seeing for, I think, like 8 or 9 years, who's had a major brain tumor and had a big chunk of their brain removed. So they have huge muscular problems. So she's constantly working with that to get this
Right.
kid, he's like now like 19 years old, and she still sees him every week.
That's so sweet. And does she enjoy her job?
She loves the kids and loves working with kids so much.
It sounds, potentially really rewarding, but
Yeah.
also potentially very frustrating.
I mean, the frustrating part for her is that she works in other people's homes and she's commuting a lot by subway.
Right.
So she's on the subways like 2 or 3 hours a day.
Does she still have a place in Brooklyn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have a place in Brooklyn now.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
I
we
see.
have a farm in Rhinebeck that's apparently called Contreras Farm. So,
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now you need a sign made.
yeah.
I make really good signs.
I've
just in
I've
case.
heard about your sign making.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we were talking about you, me and my wife,
Uh-huh.
and I was showing her your historical markers,
Oh, nice.
which is such a cool thing.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure everybody that listens to this show knows about Norm's historical markers. And if
doubt
you
it.
don't, you need to look into this
Yeah,
because
you do.
it's genius. Anyway, she's like, well, can we have him make us one? And I'm like, nah, it's not like that. It's art. You see, he's got to have some sort of artistic reason to make a sign. So
Yeah.
we'll have to.
But, I got them. They're all for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe we'll have to go sign shopping.
Contreras Farm needs a couple.
Yes,
Because
it's
Daddy needs some new
and
shoes.
it is a
Look at these.
historical property. I mean, our building is at least 300 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Great. We'll talk later. I'll
Yeah.
really lean on you after we go off air.
So I do not want to forget
Oh,
that I'm actually on here specifically to promote a event that is happening here in Rhinebeck.
oh, really? What might that event be? I have heard tell of some events that are going to be coming up in Rhinebeck.
Okay, so this is the Taste of Rhinebeck, and this is so exciting. This is coming up this Wednesday coming up. So this is only in 5 days from now.
5 days. So let's back up. You're in the Chamber of Commerce as a long-standing business person here.
I am on the board of the Chamber of Commerce.
You're in the
yes.
board of the Chamber of Commerce. So you're helping out the Chamber of Commerce all the time.
Yeah,
with
which
all
is
kinds of
volunteer
stuff.
work. And the reason I volunteer for the Chamber of Commerce is that the business community of Rhinebeck has been very good to me, and Rhinebeck has been very, very good to me. So I look at this as kind of an opportunity to give back to the business community and
Right.
help the business community kind of into the future.
And it's a great organization.
It really has been, and it's been a joy to work with. And we've gone through a lot of changes. The new president is Luciano Valvaldi, who's been wonderful in this role,
Right.
and he's kind of taken the helm from Dave Tellerday, who had it for several years, and
Right.
kind of moving into the future. I'm very, very optimistic about the Chamber of Commerce and working with local businesses. But one thing that we got, and this is our third year, this came from the hospital was doing the Taste of Rhinebeck, which, if you guys don't know what this is, it's basically restaurants are basically giving food away for a charitable reason. And the charity this year is, we have two charities. In addition to what we did last year, which is the Rhinebeck Village Committee that promotes autism awareness, which I'm actually also on that committee.
Oh, sweet.
And that's a terrific committee. And
Yeah.
really, we've been working with businesses to train businesses to make them more autistic aware.
Right.
We're working on a project to kind of the Lions Park, which is in the center of town. We're kind of redesigning that to be neurodiverse friendly.
Oh, nice.
We're doing a lot of different really great
We
things.
just had a guest on here, Big Al Mazzella from Village Pizza,
yeah.
was talking about the things that the autism
Right,
awareness
he's a business that
committee
does get involved in that
help
as well.
businesses say you can do this, you can do that. You can have a quiet place. You can,
Yeah, this committee is great, and
so cool.
and the work that we're doing has been really rewarding for me to be involved with. So
Taste of
that's-
Rhinebeck is benefiting this.
it is benefiting this, and we're also benefiting the Upstate Films this year.
Oh, nice.
So I actually didn't know this, that they were a nonprofit,
Yeah.
and that they're also suffering because of the pandemic, and
Oh, yeah.
it would be just horrible if this art cinema left Rhinebeck. So when we had the opportunity to kind of help them out too, I think that's a great cause, and that's great for the chamber to kind of help them out in this way.
So typically, how much do you raise for these?
Well,
causes.
last year we raised $14,000 for
That's not nothing.
yeah,
That's
for
great.
the autism committee. So
Love
we're
that.
hoping to do the same sort of thing this year.
So
I mean,
sweet.
it's definitely a popular event, and if you're listening to this and thinking about going, I would highly recommend that you go onto the Chamber's website, so the Rhinebeck Area Chamber of Commerce. You can Google that. You can Google Taste of Rhinebeck. Either way, you're going to get to the Rhinebeck Chamber website, and then you can buy.
RhinebeckChamber.com.
Yeah, and .org is it?
I don't know.
I'm not even sure. I'm on the
I
board,
think I copied it.
but I don't. So either way, I don't even remember addresses anymore. You don't need to. You just kind of type it into Google, and Google will tell you what the address
It's
is.
a loss. I used to know like dozens of phone numbers by heart, and
The only phone
nothing.
numbers I know now are ones that I memorized more than 20 years ago.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I know my eldest daughter's phone number.
Yeah.
None of the other kids. Sorry.
I don't want to get too divergent here, but I had this horrible dream that I was with my youngest daughter, and then she got lost, and I couldn't find her, and then I didn't have a phone, and I couldn't remember her phone number. So I couldn't get her. So then after
that's
that, I
tough.
forced myself to remember her number.
Right.
Anyway, so getting back to Taste of Rhinebeck, which, like I said, it's an awesome event.
And it's on Wednesday?
And it's this Wednesday. And the way that we do it is that, so there are 24 restaurants right now that are involved, and you can go and basically get samples. Like Terrapin has a drink and food. We're doing our truffled fig and brie quesadilla. Plus, we're going to do a drink, so alcoholic drink, or we also have a non-alcoholic drink that we offer. And many of the businesses that are doing this are offering too, and it's a competition too, so everybody's kind of involved to see who's going to have the best or who's going to win this. We have awards that we give. So it's kind of like, that's something for the restaurants, because chefs love to compete.
And for the people who go, and I've gone a couple of times, it's so much freaking fun.
Yeah, it's
You
great.
buy a ticket. They have like 2 flights. You go off at like 5:40 or whatever, or 6:30, and you go around. You have a little card. You get them all, somebody to punch it or sign it at every place you go.
Yeah.
And then you put it in at the end to like maybe win something. But you see everybody, Le Tout de Rhinebeck is there out and about, having fun, getting samples of these alcoholic beverages and these really delicious things.
Yeah. There's some good food there. And
Yeah.
so there's 2 basic price points. I mean, the way we did it this year is that you can go at 5 o'clock, and that's $68 or $78 at 5 o'clock. And if you want kind of a shorter period of time, $5.45 for $68. And these prices basically include you being able to go to all these places,
Right.
get a tremendous amount of food and alcohol, and have a great time.
Right. And if it sounds like a lot of money, it's keep in mind it's 100% tax deductible.
Right.
it
And you
helps
are
out these
supporting
wonderful causes.
Right. You are supporting charities. So
Sweet. And they also have a competition. You people vote for the best dishes.
yes. So it's a win-win-win, Norm.
That's good. And do you all often win the best dish? It's
I have to recuse myself. No, I like to say that, but I've actually never won, so I'm
Right.
just sad about that.
Well, it seems like a Roy and cinnamon win a lot.
I don't even keep track of that. I mean, there's a few different winners, but no, we have never won.
Everybody who takes part and samples the wares for this
I know
good cause.
I know that Abba's Falafel won,
Yeah.
because she was talking about it when she was on. Oh, actually, the Rhine Cellar won Best Drink, because they were both talking about how they both have an award.
Oh, I
I don't
love
have
that.
one.
Yeah, I love Rhine Cellar. It's a wonderful place. And how are they doing? It's been a tough spot to keep going.
Well, Jenny seems very optimistic about things. I think they've kind of found their niche.
Jenny is a great host.
Yeah, she is. She's fun.
Yeah. And I heard they took the pool table out.
That's what she said. She's made it more loungy.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there's no place to play pool except for my house.
I haven't. Oh, really?
Well, you should know. You were just there.
Where do you hide the key?
The key is in my pocket. You have to play with me, Norm.
All right, good. Let's go. I'd love to play some pool.
All right.
Yeah, there used to be a place down by the golf course south of town. They had the Eagle's Nest or something. The restaurant.
Do you know that
looking over
that was I had the contract for that for 6 years.
to buy that?
No, I was
No,
in
to,
there.
to operate. Oh,
I operated before the Eagle's Nest.
oh, you did?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Terrapin Catering.
Oh,
I just did
Was-
weddings there and bar mitzvahs and other events.
It's an amazing place. And who has it now?
Nobody.
It's a shame.
It's amazing, and it's also horrible.
How come?
Because the state has left it completely dilapidated.
Right.
And will put no money into it whatsoever.
Well, the state owns it, right?
Yeah. And getting the state to do anything is impossible.
Right.
Which is funny. We were having that conversation with Elizabeth Spinzia, the town supervisor, today, about how the state has kind of basically screwed Rhinecliff from getting a renovation of the badly needed renovation, I should say, of the train station.
Because the state's partially responsible for that. The state, Amtrak, and maybe a third party. I don't know.
But so, I guess according to Elizabeth, is that the Amtrak's trying to get out from under the state so they can do it by themselves. But it's just a disaster down there to have this train station, which is so heavily used now after the pandemic, and it looks like totally dilapidated.
And how has your business changed since the lockdown?
I mean, it's been positive.
Yeah.
It's interesting because if you look at volume and like how much money I bring in, it's way up, but profit's down.
Oh. Huh.
Because
cost of goods?
Yeah, cost of goods and labor have gone skyrocketed. So, you have to raise prices. I mean, you can't not raise prices, but at the same time, you have to be sensitive to that. So I can't raise prices as fast as my costs have gone up.
Right.
So I just rely on high volume to stay somewhat profitable, but it's not like it used to be in terms of being able to make money.
Right.
My margin's gone way down.
Huh. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with inflation. It's like, and I'm not going to get political about anything, but, it's just there's a...
I will. Fuck them all.
Well, but there's been a mandatory raise of wages, and I understand that it's not a living wage, but at the same time, when businesses, if you have minimum wage that went from, I don't know, $7 or $8 an hour to now $15 an hour, everything else goes up. I don't have anybody making minimum wage, but then everybody that's making, $10 over minimum wage, when minimum wage goes up $10, wants to still be making $10 over minimum wage. So all of those wages go up.
Right.
Prices are going up because there's inflation. So all of the food costs go up, and it's just harder and harder to make money.
Do you see any end in sight to this? It sounds like a vicious cycle.
Retirement. That's the end in sight.
What are you? You're like 49 or something. You can't retire.
Do you really think I'm 49?
Well, I don't know. We might indulge in a little flattery.
It's funny about age. I'm 58. I'm proud to say I'm 58.
Yeah.
Because I've made it through it,
Yeah.
And
That's
besides
funny.
of anybody that's good with math, I've been open for, 27 years.
And so what in the world would you do with retirement?
I mean, I'm going to be a podcast host, of course.
Oh, that's good. Well, I hope that works out for you.
Yeah.
A terrible job.
I mean, I'm
You gotta
not
be
looking
nice
to
guests.
I'm not
You
looking
gotta
to retire
flatter them about their
anytime
age.
soon,
It's just
but I'm just saying the end game is obviously at some point, 12 years. I mean, let's say I make less and less money up to that point, and then, then I just walk away.
and you'll rent the space to somebody else.
Or whatever I do.
Because you own the building, or you'll just sell the
I
building.
just
and
walk into the rainbow.
move to
It's like
Puglia.
when you're talking about like this, right? Puglia. Actually, Spain is what I really like. But
And where do you go in Spain?
I go to Alicante.
Oh, I've been there.
I love Alicante.
That's so funny. Yeah, I loved Alicante. I went there for like a long weekend one time.
Yeah, I just booked a trip. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks at the end of the summer.
What fun.
Yeah, I'd just like to get an apartment, an Airbnb.
Right.
And somewhere close to the Central Market, which is just amazing.
And it's all close to the beach.
And then I just cook and make new recipes.
Make new recipes.
Yeah,
and,
like just make my fall menu and, do just
and
menu
that
creation.
Makes me think about a cookbook. Have you ever, you must have been tempted to
Yeah,
to
I mean,
create a
I've played
cookbook.
with it, but I have no desire to do it. It's more of a vanity project at this point to do a cookbook. And,
Rick Orlando's got one.
well, there you go. So, no comment. I love Rick. Hi, Rick.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did some cooking videos with TikTok style with Jacob Hutchings, who was on the show. that was super fun. Now I'm working on a podcast. I like to write, so I'm going to do. I have a Substack.
Oh, you do?
Chef Josh Kroner.
What kinds of things do you write?
I've done mostly food writing stuff. I'll do just observations or, stuff about food and cooking, about restaurants, that kind of stuff.
Right. And so do you ever do food criticism?
Food critic.
Yeah.
As in writing a review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of reviews up there, but I would never write a bad review. Because I don't need to do that. I'm not that type of food. I'm not like the New York Times food reviewer that needs to let people know about this restaurant. I would only want to write a review about a restaurant that I really like.
Right. Huh.
So I wouldn't, if I didn't like the restaurant, I wouldn't bother writing about it.
And do you read many restaurant reviews?
I mean, I have in the past. I mean, like Ruth Reichel was a big influence on me back in the day, but, nowadays, I'll read every now and then. I mean, I know that, things are changing too. It's just different the way that it is. Like people look at TikTok for restaurant reviews now.
Right. Instagram Reels and whatever. So you said Ruth Reichel was a big influence on you. I'm trying, how can you name a particular thing?
Like I used to read her restaurant reviews every time they came out, like on paper, like right. I would pull it out and I was excited, like to see what she thought of a different restaurant. And I was definitely, because that was in the 90s and that's when I was in the city as a chef, as a cook.
And would she describe dishes she'd had and you thought, oh, I want to try that?
I remember reading a lot of Ruth's stuff and thinking, wow, I would like to do this. What's interesting too, Anthony Bourdain was a chef in the city at the same time as me. And I did not know Anthony Bourdain, but I knew who he was.
Right.
We frequented like some of the same places that were common places for cooks to go after work. And when he came out with his book, which must have been like 2000 or something.
Kitchen Confidential?
Yeah, I remember. I loved that book, and I thought, God, I could do something like this. So that's, I would love to make that type of book. Anyway, before we go, I do want to once again go back to Taste of Rhinebeck.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd do that. It's the URL sussed out by the fabulous producer Jen Hammoud is rhinebeckchamber.com, and people can go there. And you can figure out how to get tickets from there. There's a place where you can go and order and stuff.
Google Taste of Rhinebeck. Super easy, and you'll be able to find tickets. I mean, I encourage you guys, if you're thinking about it, to do it right now.
It is so much fun. I saw a weather forecast. It's supposed to be nice on Wednesday.
Good. Yeah, we're going to get rain this weekend, but then it's going to clear up, which is good for us.
So fucking fabulous. Well, guess what? We're out of time.
Out of time and out of town.
Out of town. Josh Kroner, chef owner. Thank you so much for being here. What a
Norm,
treat.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Finally got to do it.
I love your show.
Oh, thank you. I'll be over to play pool. I can't wait to hear your show on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a fabulous Friday night and a great weekend. Thanks to the Epicurean for hosting us here.